It's not a tragedy in the broader scheme of things, but our students here at Wyoming Catholic College were deprived this year of their last outdoor trip. And I'm reminded of what they do on those trips by three poems that appeared in the most recent issue of Modern Age. They're all written by Catharine Savage Brosman, a poet of long standing who has done some of her most productive work in her 80s and recent years. These poems are based on experiences in the Mountain West, as becomes very clear very quickly. And I think they speak to the heart of what our students experience in the opening of the natural world to wonder and to the kinds of meditations that we see Catharine Brosman arriving at in the course of these poems. There are three short ones. They're each 5 lines. They have an interesting but simple rhyme scheme to them. So what I'll do is read through all three and then go back and make a few comments. Here are the poems from Modern Age in the winter 2020 issue, unlike what it says on the sheet that appears to you. First one, Broken Landscape, Wyoming. Around me, even slopes crack suddenly. They're green in ruptured ski runs. Rocky breaks appear, then heal. So did the plains agree to rise, or mountains fall apart? It takes a modern mind to read Earth's history. Second one, Aspen Grove, Colorado. The others hiked ahead. The grove's now mine. Its lighting tinseled, cool. The forest floor is blue with lupin, harebell, columbine. Green music runs, abstractly. Cirrus score the sky. Do I imagine the design? Third one, Whitewater, along the Arkansas. Rough canyon, rougher waters, forced apart by shoals and fallen boulders, in a field of moiling, eddying, the maelstrom heart of doubt, until downstream commotions yield to pools, serene, the apogee of art. Very beautiful short poems by Catharine Brosman. The first one, Wyoming, leads me to think about a book by John McPhee called Rising from the Plains, about how the landscape of Wyoming suddenly breaks into these great mountainous expanses. I think those of you who have been to Jackson and up to the Tetons know that those mountains are very young compared to the mountains elsewhere. For example, the Appalachians, even the mountains or remnants of mountains in central Wyoming are much, much older. In fact, we're talking about 2.5 billion years old, as our professor Stan Grove on the faculty here at WCC likes to explain. So when Brosman is asking, did the plains agree to rise or mountains fall apart? She's looking at this geological landscape and admitting it takes a modern mind to read Earth's history. What does that mean? There's a lot in that simple assertion, but certainly it means that for someone who's taking in the time frame of the geology of the state of Wyoming, you have to have a modern mind. Because the scale of these things is too great. This is hard to say. Too great for the ancients, too great for the amounts of time that are easily accessible to the imagination. Maybe that's what Brosman means here. The second one, Aspen Grove, clearly it reminds me of Gerard Manley Hopkins and this idea of an endscape that suddenly the poet sees in the course of this being alone in the grove, where the lighting is tinseled and cool, where the forest floor is blue with these wildflowers. And I think you're almost brought up with the interesting association of the word Columbine put back in its rightful place. Green music runs abstractly. Cirrus score the sky. Do I imagine the design? So the sense of design is intense here. And I think, again, it's what Hopkins would explain by saying that the poet, with this in stress or this movement of imagination, apprehends the design which is already present there in the landscape, God-given somehow in the creation. But the modern poet has to ask the question, do I imagine the design? Is this simply something I'm imposing, or is it something that is found in the very presence of the landscape? And then the last one, a favorite I would think of our students who love kayaking and whitewater rafting and all such things. But here, the whitewater becomes an image of the movement of art itself. So the maelstrom heart of doubt is that whitewater, and then it issues downstream below, where all commotions yield to pools serene, the apogee of art. That movement from all the turbulence of passion to the solution, if that's the right word, that way of bringing all things into harmony and calm, that is the very heart of what the poet and the artist can do.